build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet.
Hello, we are live for segment number 51, I think, of Carnivore Muscle Ramblings. Today with myself and Jerome Armstrong from 18 Minute Fitness. How you doing?
Doing well. It's hard to believe it's been a week since you and I have really spoken. It feels like that. It's only been a day or two, but doing well.
It's been a nice break. It's been a nice break for sure. Yeah,
it's been a nice break for you.
No, I'm all right, thank you. I was thinking we might just start off these videos now, either just addressing like a topic or just going for our weekend training. That's quite interesting because it usually gets people warmed up for what we're about to talk about. So how's your week of training been going? Like, I understand you've done a different dietary practice this week. How's that fit in with things? Does it change anything?
Yeah, so I'm still losing between 2 to 3 pounds a week. Basically, I'm just having one big meal a day, but I have a contest in mind, so I've had to take the ground beef that I'm eating, and I'm going pretty lean with it, at least 90-10, usually 93-7. And I'm just eating to satiety, one meal a day, till I don't want another bite, Anthony Chafee style. And by having a relatively lean cut, fewer grams of food, better comports the mass balance model, and weight is still continuing to come off. Today I did upper body push. I've kind of still been following push-pull legs. I did all-time static contractions for this particular workout, and I'm still pretty fatigued, a little shaky. But it's been a busy day. I had my daughter this weekend. I was explaining to you offline how I've had to jumble around my clients because Tuesday and Wednesday my business has to be closed. So it's been busy but productive, and things are still moving in the right direction. So apologize for the tired, disheveled look, but this is unfortunately where I'm at right now. How about you?
Nice. Yeah, sounds pretty good overall. It's just one of those weeks, isn't it? For me, I've had a pretty good few days. I mean, I've been seriously ill. I say seriously ill, it's an over-exaggeration, which I don't like to do very often, but sometimes I like to do it just to get people wondering. Yes, I was ill, as in I had not a cough, but like a runny nose, just like sore sort of chest, very out of breath, very similar to COVID symptoms, very similar, as compared to what I had when I had it, apparently. But I feel a bit better now. So a lot of like lack of sleep, lots of pain, overall general fatigue, malaise, inflammation over my whole body, just feeling sore, like areas of my body I don't usually feel sore in. So I attribute that mostly just to lowered immunity, partly pain, partly sleep, partly the fact I'm eating less grams of fat than I've ever recommended any of my clients to ever eat, ever. So I'm currently eating under 100 grams of fat per day right now, which is tough. What's interesting, though, is the hunger only picks up in the morning. So I'm fine. I've been doing about 2 meals per day for the most part. I've been fine having breakfast about 8, half 8. Training 10 on training days, three times last week. Our next meal is about 2 o'clock, 2, half 2, something like that. But yeah, I've been fine. But then about 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm ravenous, like so hungry. But my body's doing this interesting thing, which it usually does when I push too hard, is that it just holds on to weight. But then the body fat calipers show a lower number every day. So, which is always if I'm holding water and I'm visually look like I'm holding it water, but the fat's still going down, which is quite interesting. I've had this quite a few times now. But yeah, I'm not looking to maintain this for any lengthy period of time. Basically, I wanted to practice out my recent carnivore shredding protocol video stuff, which I kind of worked out. It seems to be effective. I've taken the fat grams lower than the recommendation just because it's me. I want to push it a little bit. But I'm comfortable and confident that people could try that out in the way that I've directed it and not have any real issues, provided they do it within the caveat and kind of format that I've put it in. So yeah, good stuff. Overall, pretty good. Go to Sophie's on Wednesday, which is quite a delight. I've not seen her in nearly a month now, which is like nearly 4 weeks. So quite a long time.
Is that video of yours publicly available now? I know that it was a members only premiere. And for those who don't know, Jonathan, if you're a paid member of his channel, you get access to his videos probably a week plus early before they're released to the general public. And so Jonathan put out a video recently. The extreme carnivore shredding protocol was extremely informative.
Yeah, I took a lot of information from Lyle McDonald, who kind of came up with that diet originally, as some of you might have guessed. I just had my own swing on it on the carnivore diet, so it's a unique video to me. Taken abstracts or excerpts from his stuff, but just made it in my own in a way. So yeah, but I've actually now changed my channel membership stuff, so now offer not £1.99 but £0.99 membership. So I offered now 5 tiers. So I do basically £1, £2, £5, and I believe £9. And you'll have access to that video that Jerome just mentioned, I've been talking about just now, for less than £1 per month, which is 25p per week or less. So it's pretty insane. So I can't really get much cheaper than that. That's actually the lowest price I can actually set on YouTube. Not a channel member yet. I'm very surprised, but thank you for all the ones that currently are channel members. I appreciate that a lot. It does help me out a lot. So currently, right now, my income is about a third. Well, sorry, a third of my YouTube income is from channel members. So that's helped me out a great deal. And basically, it's put food on the table for me for an extra week, which is helpful. So very good.
And forgive me for smiling and laughing a bit. There was a comment I saw in the chat, but if people haven't seen it, they should go and watch that video. Yeah, that was the one. But essentially, Jonathan has what I think is a more sustainable and probably a healthier take on Lyle McDonald's protein-sparing modified fast. And I remember reading about, I read Lyle McDonald's book years ago, and basically that protocol is essentially like it's basically protein and that's it. It's depending on your weight, it's like 150 to 200 grams of protein a day, just period. And it's not sustainable for a lot of people. The whole idea was to what lets you maintain muscle mass while losing fat as rapidly as possible. And it definitely works for that purpose. But I think Jonathan's approach is probably every bit as effective, but far kinder on how somebody is subjectively going to go through that experience. So if you haven't seen it, by all means, go and check that video out.
Yeah, so what I did was I crunched the numbers in terms of working out how much protein do we need to be satiated per whatever gram per kilo, whatever it was. They also worked out how much nutrition I think I need and other people need based on experience to reach their vitamin mineral requirement from the meat, assuming they're eating meat they're eating. So I gave a broad range, and I obviously cited a study to say, this is the reference range that I'm saying is helpful to people to satiate themselves. Then the fat, I've basically just halved it because that seems to be what makes sense and kind of matches what I've experienced. But it's a much more sustainable way of going about it. Effectively, if you compare it to Lyle McDonald's diet, I'm basically promoting next to no carbs, deliberately speaking. The fat is much higher, but the protein's lower. So although I've obviously accounted for the mass balance model, I've also taken the carbohydrate insulin model into consideration as well. So the protein for me would be, I think, something like 300 grams or something for my weight activities, but it'd be much higher if I was using Lyle McDonald's version. So I've kind of balanced it out to make it more achievable and a bit more sustainable. So people could still do that. Wouldn't be quite as rapid as Lyle McDonald's diet, but it's a way you can do it and at least add in those days. And I've actually looked at other people that worked at calculators online and found that way too inaccurate. There's another person in our space, Keto Carnivore sort of space. I looked at their one, and their one put me at something like 140 or 180 grams of protein a day. I think it's like 40 fat and 0 carbs, something like that. And I was like, I'll be able to do it for like 2 days and I feel like ripping someone's head off. So yeah, it's way off, but it comes down to experience at the end of the day. So
yep. And in all honesty, and I've done protein sparing modified fast the way McDonald prescribes, I would rather fast on those days than do them the way that he recommends. I've yet to try your protocol, but just looking at the numbers that you suggested, it seems far more sustainable and far more pleasant to do, 2-3 weeks of that than to. It's like the OG protein sparing modified fast was basically protein and that's it. So
chicken breast, tuna.
Yep. Very lean.
Vegetables.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff is hard to eat. Basically just enough calories just enough grams of protein to sustain your lean body mass. And I did, and it was rough. It's really rough.
I've done that a few times. That's my first contest diet. I think you guys probably had before. Drone probably had before. Was tuna and eggs, 5 cans a day. That was a protein sparing body high fast. I was eating. If you looked at calories, it's like 1,500 calories. I did that for 5 months straight.
Yeah.
That was rough. I don't know how I did that.
I remember the old chicken and broccoli and rice days and being so afraid to put hot sauce on because I was concerned that little bit of hot sauce that said 0 calories on the nutrition label, I was so concerned that was going to throw off my diet.
I used to be like that as well.
I don't ever want to go back to that.
I went to Nando's today, which is a Portuguese chicken rotisserie peri-peri sort of place. And I was so good with my diet. I actually got it just a chicken. So I literally just bought a whole chicken. It's like $20. Then I put on some sugar-free sweet chili sauce. Not bad. Not the healthiest thing, but if you're trying to lose fat the fastest way possible and still get food down that tastes dry as hell, it seems to be quite effective. So for me, it's all right. But my protein intake is so high that it's not the highest it's ever been, but it feels like a lot of food. So for me, getting it down helps a bit. But yeah, it's been interesting. And for Jerome, the intake could probably be something like 230 protein and about 115 fat. That it'd be something like that, which is quite achievable. It's a reference range, isn't it?
To address the comment that's on the screen, I really think if me, Jonathan, Drew, and Jay all did a podcast together, the only point of contention for the most part would just be dietary approach.
Yeah.
And really, like, what are we? They say that counting calories is accurate enough. Yes, like you can still get results counting calories. Jonathan and I just argue that it's a less efficient way than holding your macros steady, tracking macros, and then making the adjustments based on that. So it'd be like a 20-second podcast. So
I had an epiphany last night. I say last night, this morning about 3:45. For some reason, I was thinking about something someone said in a video once about calories in, calories out, and I was like, it's something like 7 months ago. It really wound me up. I don't know why. And I was like, well, I could just make a video explaining 4 better ways to calculate or measure food intake than counting calories. Like 4 better ways. But I think I'm going to make that video soon. One of them will be pretty much next to impossible for nearly anyone to do. The rest of them will be very possible. And it's nothing absurd. Like you wouldn't be surprised by anything when I say them. But yeah, it'd be quite an interesting video. I'm looking forward to that. Should we do some questions? Our live Q&A?
Yeah, I think
we'll get to Ben's. We'll get to Ben's first. Ben's kind of left a super chat. So thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. What ground beef recipes do you recommend? Good question. I was speaking to a lady earlier, actually, I was consulting with, and I was just saying, like, you can think of all these recipes that you want, but you're going to end up eating beef with eggs mixed in with cheese when you're like me. When you're feeling like that's what you end up eating pretty much. Especially if you're eating a lot of food, it'll be probably beef, eggs, and cheese, something like that. Some people are a bit more experimental. They might make carnivore pasta. So my partner Sophie, I think she's got a video out recently. She's going to do a carnivore pasta and carnivore meatballs video. So you can basically, I've got the video myself. Carnivore muscle, competition consultant, carnivore pasta recipe video, something like that. It'll be in my recipe video playlist somewhere. Egg, mix it all up, put it out on a pan, thin, buttered or tallow, up to you. Just lightly cook it until you start to get a crisp around the edge. You can flip it, but you don't need to. If you steam it by putting something on top of it, like a pan on top of the pan, or like a glass lid sort of thing, that'll steam it, so that'll cook it through as well. You roll that up into like a pancake tortilla thing, I don't know what it's called. Then you cut it along, so you make pasta noodles out of it. Then make meatballs, simple. Mix it in, add some cheese, done. Magic. That's one recipe. What recipes do you have, Jeremy? You probably picked up quite a few over the years.
Yeah, maybe. I'm pretty boring. Like when it comes to ground beef, like listen, I'll just make a bowl of ground beef and that's it. a little salt. I guess you could use seasoning if you want, but
Salt's a good one.
yeah, I mean, really, it's if you're just looking for something for a little bit of variety with flavor, then certainly experiment with seasonings. But in general, the closer you can keep it to strict carnivore, I think is going to be best. So I'm probably the wrong person to come to. My daughter is very, very thin and eats like a horse, so I make her a lot of conventional like Italian recipes. But when it comes to meat, like just basic ground beef, sometimes I'll crack a few egg yolks in it, maybe some shredded cheese, sour cream. If I'm feeling really adventurous, I'll add a little bit of sauerkraut or maybe a couple of pickles because I really like that hit of vinegar. But that's about as fancy as I get with cooking. So look out, ladies. Excellent cook here.
There we go. Excellent. Yeah. There's nothing revolutionary, I think, that's been made out there. Some people make like a meatloaf with spice seasoning. So you can just get a big block of beef mince, either from the butcher, the market, or the shop. Mix it in with some cheese, some salt, some white pepper, a few seasonings. I'm not that interested in most of them nowadays. I get bored of them. They don't really interest me. But then just pack it all together, make like a meatloaf, put it in the air fryer, the oven. 20 minutes, done. That's quite interesting. It's easy to eat. You can make just a block out of it, and if you're like me and you don't really care, you can eat that cold. Almost like a pemmican that's not pemmican, you know.
In a certain sense, bodybuilders are probably the worst people to ask for recipes because food is utility. It's a means to an end. So usually, like, maybe you're this way. I used to take my chicken and broccoli and rice or tilapia or whatever fish or protein I was having, and I would put everything in a blender if I had a social engagement, and I would just make like a whole food shake, like chicken and rice and vegetables, and I would take this, protein shaker cup with blended fish to the movie theater. So
that sounds good.
We've all been there, but I would not recommend that approach.
Yeah, Sophie and I are going to the cinema actually on oh god, what? Sorry, I'm a bit tired, guys. I'm not eating much food or sleeping much. I don't feel very well. I'm very run down. Wait, what? Cinema. Okay. So the brain fog is that bad. I haven't eaten this little in like since 2016, I think. So yeah. We're going to the cinema, I think, on Saturday or Sunday. We're going to watch Paw Patrol, of course. So, of course, I've invested in having luxury VIP reclining seats, so I'm more comfortable. I'll probably have to bring my pillow with me because I can't sit on any seat nowadays. So I'm actually sat on two pillows right now. I'm sat on a V pillow and a grounding pillow for whatever reason. Yeah, so I'm probably going to end up having snacks. So I'm probably going to do maybe some biltong, pickled eggs, usually a slice of cheese or something. If I think I'm gonna, I've noticed I've had this technique where I can sort of work out. If I think I'm gonna binge, like if I'm not eating much, I'm like day one, day two, I'm like, oh, I'm really hungry, I'll make either a really big protein shake with ice in it, so I make like a slushy. So that's my anabolic protein milkshake thing. There's a video recipe on that, or I'll have what's the other one? I'll make a sugar-free protein jelly. So I've actually found a jelly which is high protein. The worst thing in it is sweeteners, of course, and colorings. That's much worse things to eat. And that fills me up a bit. But what I've noticed with that is it fills me up, so rather than being immediately hungry, it fills me up for like a couple of hours, but then the hunger comes back just as hard. So it just like a time filler, basically. It keeps it interesting, but for me, it's probably not the healthiest thing, but I think what's healthy, me starving my backside off or having something which I quite like, which otherwise wouldn't usually have. So I deserve it. I deserve a treat.
Oh, one last thing popped into mind. Carnivore nachos. I'll use pork rinds instead of chips, ground beef, cheese, sour cream. If you want, you could have sliced jalapenos on there. Olives are probably, for the most part, okay, unless you're really trying to keep it carnivore. But you pretty closely approximate nachos and keep it relatively strict carnivore.
How many times did you think about that meal this last week?
That particular meal, 0, but I did have a dream a couple of nights back that I woke up and I went to the pantry and I ate a whole container of muffins. And I don't have any muffins at my place right now, thank God. But it's reaching a point, getting close to this contest where those dreams will happen for me at least 2-3 times a week, and I'll have to get up in the morning and go to the fridge or go to the pantry and make sure that I didn't actually like eat all this shit that I'm not supposed to eat. So, in a certain sense, that's a good sign.
I used to have dreams of petting cows and milking cows when I was like first starting this. Really weird one. We've got a question somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah, if I found it. From Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. Do you believe 2 warm-ups with 1 set on the first exercise of a specific muscle group is better than just 1 set fail without any warm-up sets? That's a good question. I'd personally just do 1 warm-up at the very beginning. Usually people formulate their workouts, maybe if it's like us, like push-pull legs, it'll be so a push workout might be chest or shoulders first, depending on what you want to prioritize. You'll just do a warm up on that specific exercise. It might be shoulder press first. Okay. Warm up set, maybe 50-60% of your effort. So if you do 10 reps, you just do 5 or 6 just to feel the movement, make sure your shoulders feel right, your traps are aligned properly. You got the right positioning in your seat, things like that. Then you get straight into it. I don't really ever warm up more than once if I do. And if I do warm up even once, it's just because I've come in, it's freezing cold outside, pissing with rain, and I just feel like I need to warm up. My joints feel cold. And that's the only real reason. My technique's pretty good nowadays. I don't have to worry about warming up. I'm pretty solid from the first rep. I think Jerome's probably the same. Yeah, if you don't need to do that in that sort of caveat, I'd probably just say just do the failure sets. So depending on how far you want to take it, concentric, isometric, eccentric, up to you. Work out from there. See what allows you to build more mass, build more strength week to week. Then obviously rejig your recovery period from that point. What do you think, Jerome?
Yeah, I would say for me, it depends on the movement. If I was doing anything that was somewhat coordinated, dumbbell shoulder press, a Bulgarian split squat, probably any kind of squat, deadlift, that type of movement where you really have to focus on form more than you would on like a machine chest press or shoulder press, then I would do the same kind of thing. I would do a relatively light warm-up set and just get my body used to going through that range of movement. So if I could do a dumbbell shoulder press with, I don't know, 70-pound dumbbells, I would probably just grab 30s or 35s and just slowly do a couple of repetitions, get used to that. Then nothing close to failure, just a couple repetitions, wait 30 to 60 seconds, grab something close to my working weight, and then just do 1 or 2 repetitions so I can kind of get used to how that's going to feel. And then I would go right into the set to failure. The whole point of a warm-up set is to just be mentally and physically prepared for that all-out set to failure. So that's going to be kind of a subjective assessment that you're going to have to make in that moment. Do you want to do a couple of sets to kind of get ready and get prepared for that point? Or do you feel that you're ready to go? And if you feel like you're ready to go, then you maybe don't necessarily do it. But if I was going to do any kind of barbell squat, barbell deadlift, any tremendously heavy or coordinated movement like Bulgarian split squat, some kind of lunge, something like that, I would probably do 1 or 2 warm-up sets.
Yeah, I made a video of Bart K, like it came out like a week or 2 ago. I think you have access to that one. It's like workout warm-up science or something like that, and it's got a picture of Cedric Millen on the front, a bodybuilder. That's basically what I think. Bart K is of the opinion that we should warm up to be warm to increase heart rate to do work. So don't go from freezing cold outside to then sprinting. I think that's daft. It obviously comes down to the coordination of the movement, like Jerome said as well. So something more complex is going to need a bit more thought. So I wouldn't jump into squats. I wouldn't jump into bench press or deadlifts. Mm-hmm. Just lift the bar or something. Just find a way to do it. But yeah, with machines, I train most of machines. I think Jerome does as well for the most part. So it's not as much hassle. There's less to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's all the questions for tonight. All right, we'll wrap it up then. Just so you guys know, Jerome and I have to leave in about 35 minutes. We're very busy. We've got a tight schedule tonight. Well, this afternoon for Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad it is helpful. It's very simple information. What's funny is I made a prelude video to that one, which was my principles around the methodology for getting contest shape on a carnivore diet. And this video, the recent one, the fat loss protocol one, was the actual protocol. So that what I actually did. And that's got like a third of the amount of views. And I'm like, that's depressing. So the video that was, it's actually the beginner video, which is like, just to kind of like go round it a bit first. Yeah, I don't know. That's life. Like, comment, share.
I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry, I should probably mute my mic. My Vietnamese business neighbor is like right outside of my door, and he's yelling on the phone. So,
Oh, he's a great guy.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to have a little ramble for a sec. So I actually visited the vegan health food shop that I used to work at yesterday. I saw my brother and family went for a meal, and it was in that same town. And I tried some supplements. I bought some zinc lozenges. Now in the viral era, all those products went out of stock like instantly. I was lucky to actually get a bottle, so I actually kept some now. I'm going to use them each time someone gets a cold, just to help the throat. There was a study done on zinc gluconate, which is the active ingredient, particularly in the lozenge form, which is kind of saying it helps with the preventing the replication of certain things in the body that cause certain problems in the body. So yeah, it seems to be effective. I feel much better since I started taking that yesterday. So what else is new? Not much. I've got about 10 litres of raw milk in the fridge.
And how long is that going to last you?
I've been getting through one bottle per week, so 1 litre. So I need to put some in the freezer at some point, I think. But my mum has some and my stepdad as well. So I'll take some to Sophie's.
You just let it spoil and you keep drinking it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, they say it doesn't last, but honestly, I've had it in the fridge before for like a week and it's been fine. So I don't know. I'll risk it. Jerome, so what's happening with your competition? Are you shredded yet or what?
Getting there. So I'm in the 220s.
Whoa, that's light.
Yeah, we're moving in that direction. So I'm taking a vacation mid-October. So I'll get my tan on then, and then I'll start putting some pictures out. But I want to get rid of this pasty Irish complexion of mine first and embrace a nice dark shade of red and sunburned. So, but it's moving in that direction. I'm looking forward to taking a vacation. It'll be the first time that I've really had since before my daughter was born. So her and I have had lots of small road trips here and there, but this is going to be first real time especially since I opened the studio and quit my last job, to where I can really just kind of decompress and relax. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
That sounds nice. Sophie and I are planning to go to a place called Butlins, I think, could be wrong, next summer. So that's like a holiday park over here. It's not like a mega impressive place to go to, but it's somewhere that someone like me, a low-level piece of scum like me, can afford. Then look forward to the next year. Then look forward to the next year to going to Disneyland Paris, I think. So I'll finally be able to go on all the rides I've been dreaming of. Probably not. I'll probably sit on the side or on the bench for about 10 hours and eat cheeseburgers.
I was going to caution you that as you get older, it becomes harder and harder to go on some of those rides. When I was actually probably about your age, I'm old enough to where I can start telling those stories now. I went to the county fair and I went on a tilt-a-whirl where you just spin in a circle and then the thing that you're sitting in also spins in a circle, and it just jacked me up. I got off of that ride and I was like, never again.
Yeah, I think that's called the Weltzer for it. I call it the teacup ride, but it's called the Weltzer, I think.
Same,
yeah, that one's horrible.
Yep.
But yeah, for my back and hip, I don't. Anything which like jigs you around in a chair, I'm not interested in. Or if you're locked in a position too long, that's too small. I definitely not. I'll probably just stand up on the Mickey Mouse ride that goes around a little field at like 0.5 mile per hour, vaping or something.
Yeah, that train that they have that you can sit on that just goes around the park, those are excellent too.
It's good. Get some scenery. I'll be quite enjoying that one.
Mm.
Yeah, I look forward to that. But yes, what else is in the pipeline for my videos?
Yeah, what do you have coming up?
I'm going. If you bear with me about, I don't know, less than 10 seconds, I'll be able to tell you. So I've got a mass gain protocol, similar to the fat loss protocol, but just different. Then 3 biggest training Did I make that video? Yeah, I did apparently. Oh, it's come out. Yeah, so I've got 3 biggest training mistakes. 3 worst or 3 most stupid supplements. And I interviewed Harry Sopanos for about an hour and a half, maybe. We were chatting for about 3.5, 4 hours, of course. But I got a lot of information out of him. There's probably it's literally a masterclass on protein intake on the carnivore diet. Like everything you probably need to know, from how much to what to why to what if, on the carnivore diet. So I might release that as like a 40-minute segment, then split up the rest of it. But that'll be very informative to people. I just need to work out how I'm going to split it up. Because the information he puts out is so in detail, it's hard to know at what point to like cut bits out, when to sort of redo it. I don't know. I think the information is important enough and good enough to sort of have it in its whole. But we'll see. We'll see. We spoke about some other things as well, which are very interesting. But yeah, that'll come out soon as well. So yeah, I've got lots of videos in the pipeline. I've currently got 6 videos scripted, ready to film. So yeah, not bad. But I am asking actively what my YouTube channel members want from me from videos. I'm obliged to make videos, and hopefully videos that they like, so I can keep their membership. So if they tell me what they want, what videos they want, specific topics, I can help them out. So it seems to be building muscle in the carnivore diet is the thing, apparently, because I'm carnivore muscle in here now. So I'm going to be focusing on that. So I don't know really what to do for that. It's hard to know what to say, because if we've kind of got all the clips out, the Q&A's kind of answer a lot of questions, but I don't know. Jerome, do you have any ideas?
Training footage. That's what I would do.
I took some selfies today in the gym with my camera phone.
And if you wanted something easy, I mean, I would record your workouts and then do a video just doing a voiceover, explaining what your routine is, why you're doing what you're doing, what goes through your head, and kind of what the narrative is as you go through that set, because you know that as you push harder and harder, what you're telling yourself in your head changes quite a bit. That's kind of what I would do. And the stuff that you and I could talk about all day with the very little research or effort, it comes pretty natural to us. I think training footage is always good, even if you're following relatively the same routine for quite a bit of time, because if anything, you're just showing people that consistency, right? Just you're getting your workouts in day after day after day after day. And eventually, those ideas marinate, and then some of the ideas that you and I keep talking about tend to click, and they will resonate with people. But I think you could do no wrong with training footage, and I wish actually more fitness influencers put out more, because I think that's kind of what people want to see.
I'd definitely be interested in doing that. The thing is that the cameraman or camerawoman is tough to get hold of. But I have all the equipment to do it. I can do it. It's not a chore for me to do. It's a chore to get in a position where someone can film me to do it. And where we are in the UK, we're not the most friendly of people. So if I put a camera up in the gym on a tripod, I'll probably get a few.
I gotta let you go. My client's here. Sorry.
Take care. Well, Jerome's off anyway, so just me. It's Jerome's client is about 20 minutes early, I think. But yes, I'll get back to the questions. If you've got any questions, guys, put them in the chat. I'll get them through quite quickly. Hey, Kim, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Thanks also to Rick, Matthew, Ben, Carnivore Tribe, Aggravator, Nicole, didn't see here. Nicole, Christopher, Lambs, Sophie. Excellent. Sophie's joined. Rick, and of course, the Big Nev. Hit the like. Yes, please. Thank you. Great stuff. So I'm going to look at the question from Ben. Apologies for the lag in my brain function today, guys. I'm tired, unwell, not feeling great, but I'm going to be aiming to probably finish in about 15 minutes time. But I'll get through whatever questions come up in that time. So Ben asked, discuss if there are any detrimental effects of splitting 3 times 40-minute workouts per week in half to 6-minute, 20-minute workouts per week. Would it harm recovery? Very good question. Very good question. So Jerome and I actually spoke about this about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And I was saying to him, what if I just did the same, like for my leg workout, but just split it up? So rather than doing 4 workouts a week, just do maybe 5, but splitting up quad day and ham day. So quadriceps and hamstrings on a given day. And he sort of said, you can do, make much difference. The only thing is the mental ritual, the preparation of going into training sessions is a bit different. So it could swing your favor or be in opposition to you. So, for example, if you're someone that knows, that in the gym, you can put in hard, intense effort for 20 minutes. You're like, 20 minutes, you get there and you're like, oh, beyond that, so maybe you get 4 or 5 sets in. Beyond that point, you're like 6 sets, or just, your drive isn't there. You don't feel great. Your instincts aren't to like keep pushing hard. You just feel a bit fatigued, some malaise, in which case, yeah, it could be useful. What you'll notice, however, is if you start to do that, you come at a point where you're perpetually training. So you never really give yourself a systemic fatigue rest, if that makes sense. So you always want to have at least, of course, 1 day off per week of training. So Ronnie Coleman, for example, 8-time Mr. Olympia, perhaps a bad representation of a bodybuilder in that he's a genetic anomaly, trains like a beast. He took 1 day off per week and he trained about 12 times a week. So do 2 sessions for his competitions, 6 days per week. So you can do it that way. I'll just be conscious of how much overlap you have between body parts. So, for example, I'd rather nail my chest, shoulders, and tricep workouts once in a week, maybe twice over 8 or 9 days, something like that, or maybe 5 to 8 days, something like that for me. Then I've not got to touch it again for that long. So I'm not doing shoulders again, I'm not doing triceps again. That'd be quite useful because it means I get a full recovery. So therefore you allow that progressive overload, you get the adaptive response. You don't have to worry too much about trying to get perfect recovery between every single workout because you have a whole week pretty much. So you can do it that way, but I just think it's going to become a chore. So I used to train about 15 hours per week at one point. So I was doing 2 sprint training sessions per week, 2 circuit training sessions per week, and I was doing, I think it's 5 or 6 gym sessions per week. So I was training every day pretty much in some kind of way. My recovery wasn't bad, but I noticed that I started having to eat more and more and more food. So it could trigger your appetite too much to the point where you have to eat way more food. But for me, like, bodybuilding and training is a ritualistic experience. So if, for example, your mental arousal state, so how much you enjoy training, how much you put your thought process into it. So, okay, I'm training 3 days this week. Okay, I've got 3 opportunities here. That might give you what you need to motivate you to train harder. But if you're then saying, okay, I'm going to train 6 days a week, you ain't got to do that, get that arousal state 6 times. You have to go through that ritual before training 6 times in a given week. So that could be a bad thing, but it's probably going to be a bad thing. I think with this sort of question, it's more of a case of there's no need to reinvent the wheel. And I think a lot of people will benefit from training 2 to 4 times per week. For you, I'd say 3 times per week is plenty, just because you are so physically active. And it means on the days when you do have the training, you'll get that same kind of benefit. But you could try doing, if you want to do a bit more frequently, save a bit of time. So perhaps you're training 4, 8, 12, 2 hours per week. You might split it up 4 ways. So you could do 4 sessions per week or 30 minutes. I don't see many people doing 5 sessions per week or more unless they're on gear or they're doing it just because they like training. It depends if you want to progress or not. If you like training, by all means go ahead. But if you want to progress, get stronger and recover, I'd probably say basic experience, I'll probably push it down to at least maybe about 3 or 4 sessions per week, probably no more. That's my 2 cents. Hopefully that's helpful. If you want any more kind of explanation or me to expand on anything, please just ask in the chat and I'll get to it. So thank you. Hey Andrew, what's up? Question. When training dieting for a body composition, how much fat would you expect to lose while increasing muscle mass? Is it a viable approach or better to focus on one? If you're starting, I'd say for the first... So this is based purely on anecdote of what I've seen from perhaps a few hundred people I've seen in the gym, and probably a few thousand people I've seen online. It seems to be that the first 2 years, roughly, you'll gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. Providing your diet's pretty sensible, you're not eating too much or eating too little, in which case you probably do a bit both. Now, if you're beyond that point, beyond 2 years, I'll probably push it in one direction slightly more. So, assuming you're lean, so assuming you're between maybe, say, less than 15% body fat, so that's a pretty lean state for a bloke. I'd say at that point, they can say, I can start to increase body mass, so muscle mass. So you just increase your food intake by a tiny amount, like 5%. Do that for a few weeks, see what happens. Now, you're not going to expect to gain, you know this, you're not going to expect to gain 3-4 pounds of muscle in a month. You probably, as a natural bodybuilder, weightlifter, you're looking at like half a pound to a pound a month beyond that point, beyond the point of the 2 year mark. And that's if you're doing well. Like that's if you're on the ball sort of thing. So I'd be focusing on more just eating a bit more food personally. If you're over 15% body fat, I'd probably look at reducing that a little bit. I think a good state to be like fit, as in not over fat, but also have enough energy and still feel strong, is somewhere between like 10-15% body fat. Now, I've said in videos before, you can also be up to 20%, but that's if you're probably inactive. I'd be more hesitant of someone going above 15% body fat just because there's not really any benefit to it. The fittest, healthiest, happiest people I know tend to be between 10 and 15% body fat. So please understand it's a very anecdotal kind of explanation, but that's my experience. I'd probably say to anyone if they ask me the same thing. So hopefully that's useful to you. We've got Susie in the chat. Thanks for joining. You're doing better than me. I'll never go online when sick. Yeah, well, I was recording videos for 60 hours in a week. December last year, for the first week of December before my operation. I was keeping myself busy. I was making videos, consulting with people 3 days after surgery. From the 16th, actually, of December. But you just do it. You know, it needs must. If you don't have a massive income, you have to find ways to support yourself. So, I mean, sometimes you have to dig a bit deeper and do a bit more to sort of raise the income. Now, of course, I do earn some money. Like, evidently, people have given me some super chats, which are very generous of them. And they're not obliged to, but it's very helpful. I'll probably earn about, for live videos, I make about 50p, so maybe like 75 cents for like the hour, whatever I happen to be doing this for. So it's not a motivator for money for me, but building that relationship with my YouTube channel members, subscribers as well, to kind of allows them to get to know me to get to know them a bit better. So for me, it's worth it. The only exception is where I have to draw the line sometimes where I can't sit for very long. Today's one of those days. I feel like I've cracked my tailbone, basically. So it's very painful. So I'm sat on right now a grounding pillow and a V cushion thing. And an ergonomic chair, of course, which is why I'm so low. So it's I'm basically lying down in the seat, but yeah. Yeah, thank you. My pleasure. Yeah, I'll just focus on one thing. Just pick one goal, stick to it. Just be conscious of your body fat levels, how you train in the gym, how you feel, how you recover. There's nothing magical I can really say. Yeah. Anyway. Right, so we're gonna excuse me for a second. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about some videos that I'm making soon. So I've got going to make a video about how to measure body fat. So that'll be quite useful to some of you. So I'll give you some maybe 3 or 4 different ways you can do it. So something that says, oh, okay, maybe you can't access these professional machines. Here's some ways you could do it outside of that. So I'll give you some key points basically. So make a nice, good quality video, 10-minute long, probably, hopefully, maybe longer. I don't know. Every time I say it, it ends up being like 20 minutes. And yeah, just show you guys how to measure body fat in a sort of reasonably accurate way. I've got to make a video on dry fasting. A video on cravings on the carnivore diet. I'm going to make an interesting video about someone that was basically the pioneer of the ketovore diets, i.e. low carb, low starch vegetables with high fat, carnivore-ish sort of approach. So that'd be interesting for most of you because I doubt 95% of you. Yeah, I think about 95 to 99% of you wouldn't have heard of the people that I'm going to mention in that video. So that'll be good for you to hear. They show you, yeah, the ketogenic carnivore diet has been used for much longer than what people think. Might make one about dental health. I'm not an expert in that, but I can dig up some information, I'm sure. Then one video as well about processed eggs. Speaking of which, Dronda loved eggs. Yeah, he did. I've heard all sorts of amounts of food intakes this guy. So he basically like a steak and eggs diet to get shredded. I think on the weekends he used to just binge eat bread or something. I don't know. But I've heard all sorts of amounts of food from this guy. So I've heard like, oh, he had 6 eggs for breakfast and he ate, was it 12 ounces of steak for dinner? Then I've heard he ate like 4 times that amount. I don't know how much the guy ate. So I've pretty much given up with a lot of the golden era bodybuilders. They seem to lie a lot. So, or at least they've been there. The way they have been doing things has maybe been misrepresented by someone like an author online, but I don't know. But it'd be nice to hear the truth about what people did in that era. I know Arnold was making shakes with heavy cream, milk, and whey, but that was whey or milk protein when it was like pants, like not good quality stuff, like horrible, chalky, not well processed. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, if you guys let me know in the comments what videos you should like next in preference in order, I'll be able to help you out with that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really. I'm probably going to go in about a couple of minutes just because the chat is very dry tonight. There's only 13 in attendance, which is very unfortunate. So if you do have any questions, I'd get them in very soon if you can. Yeah, I'm just downloading the videos that I'm going to make soon. I'm going to go. I think I'm getting very sore. Well, thanks very much for joining tonight. It's been a short, brief one, but hopefully it's been useful to you guys. Remember to tune in next week. It's currently the best place to get your carnivore bodybuilding questions answered on my channel, with Jerome as well, which is a delight as always. I so appreciate him coming on, although he's not here to hear me say that. Sophie as well, when she comes on, it's also very helpful. But Sophie's been hard at work today. She had a long day, so for her, it's not really feasible to put the children to bed, then get here and do all that sort of stuff, you know. But yeah, you get what I mean. But yeah, keep in touch, guys. Lots of good videos coming out soon. I had to up the ante a bit with my video production skills, so we'll see how that ends up. But my videos have been heavily suppressed recently. I've gone from 32k views per month to 24. My video quality's gone up by a significant amount, I think, but never mind. But yeah, just keep actively liking, commenting my stuff, subscribing, say stuff about other things. And I don't know, keep an eye out on the YouTube community section tab. I'll post things up on there sometimes, any sort of interesting stuff. But yeah, I'm not the biggest on social media. I'm not big on Facebook and Instagram. I prefer just to use it YouTube for the most part. I'm very information based, most of you know. I'm here for informational purposes, not education. No, I'm here for informational purposes, not for entertainment purposes. But it's always good to have a laugh sometimes. But never mind, Yeah, no worries. And thanks for joining anyway. You haven't missed much. It's about 50 minutes of me talking crap, me sniffling, coughing. Well, not coughing, but just talking about food, a little bit about diet. We answered a few questions, which is good. So brilliant. Okay, thank you, Andre. Thank you, Susie. And thank you, Daryl. Nice to see you. Thank you, Lambs, as well. Nice to see you as well. Yeah, it's the tailbone. I can actually feel my tailbone on the bottom left side of my back. That very bottom bit is wobbly. I can feel it. Like it actually wobbles. So I'm terrified, and I'm not falling on my backside for at least a month. But the pain started literally like 5 days ago, which it's a new pain, which seems a bit backwards, but never mind. Yeah, I'm sure I'll feel better soon. I've had it's mostly my own fault. I've dieted too hard, which I know I shouldn't do, and I've cut a lot of body fat. But I've also been lacking sleep, and increased pain. So that's always how it works, isn't it? Never mind. Thanks very much for joining, guys. If you just joined us now, I should go back a bit. I put the questions on the screen so you guys can see what I'm answering, what I'm talking about. Hopefully that's useful to you. Maybe not, I don't know. But keep tuned for my upcoming things. Now, thank you very much. And thank you to Ben kindly tonight for the super chats. Take care.